So how does Tesla full self-driving 12.5 compare on hardware 3 and hardware 4? Let's find out. We're going to go do a drive with hardware 3 on FSD 12.5.1.5. And then right after, we'll come back and do the same drive on hardware 4 and see if there's any differences between the hardware 3 and the hardware 4 version of this software. So I've gone ahead and put in the destination. Let's go. All right, nice smooth start for the hardware 3 car. It does feel just like hardware 4. That smoothness, it's still there. Now let's see if it's able to handle exiting out of the gate in this gated community. This gate is a motion sensitive gate, so you have to drive up to it before it opens. And that's always confused the software for every version for years until FSD 12.5 on hardware 4. That was the first time it was able to handle it. Now last night in the first drive it wasn't able to do it correctly on hardware 3 at first, but then came around and resolved the issue itself. So let's see what it does here. Oh no. So that's really interesting. Whereas the hardware 4 version of the model was able to get out of that gate correctly, the hardware 3 version is still exhibiting this behavior where it drives up to it, but then is not able to get out because it decides to go the other direction for some reason. So normally you would want to take over there and get out of the gate yourself, but I'm going to give it another chance, see if it can correct its mistake. Now I'm thinking if it did it incorrectly last night and it did it incorrectly just now, it's probably going to do it incorrectly again. So at this point, if it does it incorrectly again, I'll probably just have to take over and get it through the gate myself. Alright, come on. Don't chicken out. Don't chicken out. Oh, yep. It's doing it again. Looks like I'll have to take over there to help it get out of the gate. And now I can go ahead and turn it on again. Alright, we've got to make a right turn. There's oncoming traffic. And it goes ahead and makes the turn, even though there are some cars coming. Just like hardware 4 would have done, it still has that same assertiveness. Yeah, it does feel quite similar to hardware 4. It's got that speed, that assertiveness, and that smoothness and comfort. But then on the other hand, it wasn't able to handle that gate the same way hardware 4 does. So maybe a little something was lost in translation. I'm sure that's something they can actually fix within hardware 3. But it just goes to show you how the model isn't quite as good, but is mostly exactly the same. But there are going to be some differences. And they've said we're going to get the exact same model that's running on hardware 4 running on hardware 3 as well. We just need to make some improvements to the compiler, emulate some functions that are hardware accelerated on hardware 4, and we should be able to do that. So, presumably, once that same sized model is running on hardware 3, I should be able to take it there and it should be able to handle that gate correctly. Of course, it could also be a Model S versus a Model 3 difference. It could be that even with hardware 4, the slightly different angle of the Model S would have made it do that, whereas the Model 3 is able to do it correctly. And another thing to note is the build number isn't exactly the same. So it could be that there's some improvements here, maybe some that are coming to hardware 4 too, but it's just the fact that it's a different model that it's not handling that particular case correctly. But overall, super smooth, comfortable drive, hands-free, just like hardware 4. Most people really won't be able to tell the difference between a hardware 3 and a hardware 4 car running 12.5 in a blind taste test. We're going to make a left turn up ahead at Grand Via Altamira. Black Cybertruck over there, looking good. And then a Model Y, Model 3. All of them are going to be running this software very soon, now that it's on hardware 3 and hardware 4. We got the green arrow. We're making the left turn. Smooth, natural, just like hardware 4 would have done it. Approaching a stop sign here. Nice, smooth, gentle stop, just like hardware 4 would have done. Coming up to another stop sign. Nice smooth stop, just like hardware 4. Yeah, overall I would say even with this slightly smaller model, it drives just the same as hardware 4 for the most part. It's got that same smoothness, that same comfort. It's got the hands-free. It's almost as good. And once they can run the same size model, it should be just as good as the performance hardware 4 is seeing today. And, you know, the hardware 4 model is driving me around just nearly perfectly. It's crazy having it drive you around for an hour and it just doesn't make any mistakes. So that level of performance is going to come to hardware 3 cars as well, as they improve the compiler and make those performance optimizations that they talked about. So I think the chance of hardware 3 actually surpassing human driving ability is greater than people expect. Oh, now here's an edge case. Someone's backing their trailer in. Looks like they got some weird old truck or something. Hmm. Okay, you got it. Shit. The guy called me a fucking asshole. So, yeah, maybe it should have waited a little bit longer. Um, he tried to go forward a little bit. Looks like he didn't see me. But overall, I think he did a pretty good job navigating the situation. It's like, hey, maybe don't block the entire street with your giant trailer. Was that really necessary? All right, we're getting closer now, 2.3 miles away, 6 minutes. Really nice, smooth driving here. Handling the curves very well. It saw an ahead stop sign and started slowing down slightly, which I like, or maybe it was just slowing down for the curve. You can see the ocean here. Nice smooth stop there, just like hardware 4. I like how it starts moving before the car is completely cleared. Very natural, very human-like. Alright, this is a pretty tough intersection. A lot of traffic coming from a lot of different directions. Alright, handled that very well. Was able to cross in a timely manner and without getting into awkward conflicts with any other cars. Alright, we're making a right turn here. And our destination's just ahead on the left. Alright. And there's our destination. I'll turn it off here because I don't want it to necessarily go inside. Let's head back now, and then we'll test on the hardware 4 car. So we got people walking on the side of the road here. It's giving them space, but also maintaining a good speed. Really nice, smooth, natural driving here, even on hardware 3. Next, we're going to make a left in 0.1 miles. Pretty sharp left. Got to make sure there's no traffic coming, and there we go. Very nice. Now we got to make a right turn. There's a lot of fast-moving traffic approaching. The car's creeping and going for it. Even though there was a car coming, it went. But that car ended up turning right. Very good. So it's exhibiting that same type of behavior. With 12.5 on hardware 4, it's really doing a good job with those curves. Same type of behavior you're seeing in 12.4. It really knows how to pick its trajectory well. But you're seeing that same type of assertiveness on hardware 4. That was what I really loved about 12.5 on hardware 4, was in those situations where it needs to slip through a gap in traffic, its judgment about that type of thing is very good. So if it sees a small gap that it can go make a left turn in, it'll go for it, and it'll be correct about when it's okay to go and when it isn't okay to go. And that seems to be carrying over into hardware 3 as well. Alright, we're going around a slow car. I like that. Or maybe just changing lanes. This is using the auto speed, and it's going about 40 into 35, which is a great speed. Very appropriate. Got a pedestrian on the right and a stop sign coming up. Very smooth stop. Very smooth. Last night I had an issue where there were a couple of hard stops, but that doesn't seem to be reoccurring in the daytime today. Another stop sign coming up. And another very smooth stop. Waiting for cars to cross. So that was interesting there. It moves before the car is completely crossed. But in that instance, you see when the car was moving a little slower than it projected, it hit the brakes pretty hard. And then it started moving again. So interesting behavior there. Definitely does add up to a quicker, more human-like driving experience. The risk, of course, is that you are, hitting another car or something. But it doesn't seem to be doing that. It seems to be having good judgment. And honestly, when you wait too much and leave too much of a gap, other cars end up going, and you're never able to cross. So humans will take advantage of you if you completely wait for the intersection to clear. You may be waiting a long time, and that's when you get in these situations where it's kind of stuck. That was kind of interesting. It started slowing a little far back, but I think maybe it was seeing that intersection there and thinking, okay, let me drive a little slower in case a car pops up or something. We're going to continue on this road for 1.5 miles, then make a left turn. Really smooth, really comfortable. If I had to take a trip in a hardware 3 car with 12.5, I wouldn't even mind. It's almost identical in terms of the driving feel. I'm not sure I could tell a difference if you blindfolded me and said, hey, guess if we're on hardware 3 or hardware 4. I don't think I could guess. Obviously, differences like that thing with the gate are kind of a giveaway. But, notwithstanding that, the other driving on the road wouldn't be able to tell. There's our left turn coming up ahead. Great job, it got into the left turn lane. And we're just 5 minutes away from our destination now. Alright, we're making a left turn. Making a lane change. Making another lane change to get around a slow car. Very nice, very natural. Just like Hardware 4 would have done. So I'm really seeing most of the great qualities of Hardware 4 and the Hardware 4 build copied over here. Alright, now it's getting over to the right side after passing the slow car. It does have to make a right turn ahead in 1.5 miles, so I think it's preparing for that. Driving into the sunlight a little bit here. Doesn't seem to be impacting the autopilot negatively. Next up, we're going to make a right turn in 1/2 mile. Alright. We see a few cars trying to squeeze into the right turn lane here, but there's a bus. Okay, luckily there's a green light. We're gonna have to find out if the car would have tried to squeeze through that bus. Which you guys might have wanted to see, but might have been a little scary for me. Alright, we're getting into the left lane in advance of our left turn in 1/2 mile. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, the drive was identical to Hardware 4, or what I would expect from Hardware 4, except for that one issue with the gate. So let's go ahead and do the drive again with the Hardware 4 car and see if there's any differences. Let's see if we can handle the gate going in. That's a little bit easier, because going in you've got the garage door opener, which fires. and tells the gate to open. Uh-oh. What is going on here? Oh no. It drove the wrong way. That's not good. That is not good at all. Let's see. Let's get it back on track. Gate guard's like, what's wrong with this guy? Okay. So that wasn't good. All right, there we go. So 2 takeovers, getting in and out of the gated community. Other than that, pretty perfect drive. Let's go try hardware 4 now. All right, now let's go ahead and do the same drive on hardware 4 before the lighting conditions change too much. All right, now let's go ahead and do the same drive on hardware 4 before the lighting conditions change too much. All right. Off to a good start. Off the bat, similar driving feel, very smooth. Let's see how it handles that gate. Maybe it'll mess up too. Alright, we're creeping up to the gate. We are waiting for it to open. And as it opens, we are proceeding through. Perfect. Take notes, hardware 3. That's how you do it. Right now we're going to make a right turn. Perfect. Looks like there's a car that pulled up right in front of us. And we're going to make a right turn up ahead. Alright, we're making a right turn. Pretty similar driving. Can't really tell too much of a difference. Next up, we're going to be making a left turn in 1.1 miles. There's another Tesla approaching on my left, and we've got to get into the left turn lane. And it moves over just in time. Perfect. Alright, we got a guy getting into his car. Kept a good distance. Nice left turn. Just as good as Hardware 3. Very smooth stopping. Yeah, overall, I mean, the main chunk of the drive feels very similar. I think after they work some of the kinks out in the new Hardware 3 model, it can probably perform almost indistinguishably from Hardware 4. Very smooth stop. Yep, every stop very smooth. And not too annoying like in some of the older versions. It really gets moving pretty quickly after coming to a full stop. There's where that asshole lives. Making a left. Very assertive, I like it. The other car was kind of dilly-dallying and it decided to go. Whereas I feel like older versions would have waited for all the cars to go before continuing. We're driving into sunlight here. Doesn't seem to be affecting the car's driving performance. Nice smooth stop, even though the stop sign kind of pops up suddenly. Beautiful view of the ocean and the coastline of Los Angeles here. Looks like we got a stop car here pulling out. The car slowed down ahead of time to let the car pull out, which is good. Pretty incredible that in the garage right now we've got multiple self-driving cars that can do a drive end to end without you touching the wheel at all. Right now we're coming up on that pretty sharp turn here. Nailed it. That was interesting. It stopped kind of far back from the line to avoid driving over the metal plates. Gorgeous view. Tons of Teslas here in this area. Tesla bears would have a heart attack visiting California. And we're coming up to our left turn soon, in less than a quarter of a mile. Oh, there's a Cybertruck in that guy's driveway. Looks nice. All right, we got a stop sign. There's another car approaching. Looks like they're telling us to go, but the car didn't really understand that signal, but then just decided to go once enough time had passed. All right, here's our left turn. Very nicely done. Pretty much indistinguishable from hardware 3 from a passenger's perspective. Now we're coming up to this very complicated intersection again. Hardware 3 did quite well. Let's see how hardware 4 does. Yeah, just as good. Pretty much exactly the same performance on most tasks. And we're approaching our destination now. We're a couple minutes away. We're going to be making a right turn in a quarter mile. Sun's definitely starting to shine in our face a little more as it goes down. Hopefully that doesn't make things too different on this drive versus the other drive, doesn't cause some sort of intervention, but we'll see. Usually it does seem to be pretty good at handling sunlight now. Only really extreme scenarios seem to cause it to have an issue. And we're approaching our destination here. We're going to make a left turn. Very nice. Our destination should be right up ahead. Okay, it started driving to the gate, but then it noticed that the gate was closed. So now it's pulling out over here. Let's go ahead and give it the new destination. All right, now we're ready to head back. And we're going to be taking the same route back. This part here could be challenging, driving up the hill into the sun. I have seen it have issues in previous versions when the sun is setting, just because you're kind of driving up here, facing the sun often, and that can be challenging. Got a pedestrian on the right side, giving them good space. But looks like today it isn't an issue. They seem to have done a pretty good job at handling even driving into direct sunlight and performing pretty well. Alright, we got some more pedestrians here on the right, giving them a good gap, not acting too slow or hesitant as a result. Very good. Now we've got our sharp left turn here. Got to make sure it's clear, and there we go. Very nicely done. Very smooth. Not sure I could have done it more smoothly than that as a human. Alright, now we've got to make our right turn. We got fast coming traffic, but it looks clear. So let's go. Very similar type of trajectory that Hardware 3 took there. Handling these curves really well, just like Hardware 3 did. Two and a half miles to go on this road before we make our left turn. Should be pretty boring. Nothing that either Hardware 3 or Hardware 4 couldn't handle before. Yeah, it's just so smooth. Hardware 4 may be a little bit smoother than Hardware 3, but it's very close. It's not a huge difference in general driving. Nice takeoff from the stop sign there. Did the same type of thing there, slowing down a little bit early as it approached that intersection, but it did it in a little more natural way. It didn't slow down quite as much. It was just right. Alright, here's our left turn. Okay, we got the green light. Interesting that the other one wanted to get into the right turn lane early, but this one is hanging out in the left lane for a while. Which now I'm actually thinking, okay, I don't want it to get stuck behind this mail truck. If it can do it later, that's actually better. Alright, driving into the sun here a little bit. Doesn't seem to be impacting the car much. We are about half a mile from where we need to make a right turn, so it better get over soon. But I have no doubt that it will. And there we go, it's making the lane change, about 0.3 miles ahead of the turn. Here's our right turn. Just getting over into the left lane so we can make a left turn. Hopefully this time it doesn't try and drive in through the wrong side. we gotta make a left turn. Oh. Huh? How weird. It tried to do the same thing.
Huh.
This has never been an issue I've noticed before. How odd. It's like it tried to make a U-turn and then realized its mistake, and then the trajectory was off at that point. Guess I'll send that clip up to them. Alright, so the final score is 2 takeovers for hardware 3, 1 takeover for hardware 4. So they're really pretty similar, and I would expect with future releases, the hardware 3 version is going to more closely match the performance of hardware 4. Like I suspect it'll be able to get out of that gate. And once they get the larger model running on hardware 3, the performance should be pretty much indistinguishable. Alright everyone, thanks for watching.